Welcome to our community, and thank you for joining this explainer video on differentiation. Over the next 7 minutes, we'll take a closer look at Carol Ann Tomlinson's Differentiated Instruction Framework, a powerful approach designed to help you respond to the diverse needs in your classroom. Whether your students differ in readiness, interests, or learning styles, this framework will give you practical strategies to adjust what you teach, how you teach, and how students can show their learning. By the end, you'll see how differentiation can transform your classroom into a place where every learner is challenged, supported, and engaged. As educators, it is essential we know what differentiation really means. So, tell me, what comes to mind when you hear the word differentiation? Is it highly detailed lesson plans, more resources, more marking, more feedback? If it is, let's just stop you right there. Differentiation doesn't mean doing more. It means doing what works for your learners. At its core, differentiation is simply this: adapting teaching to meet the needs of different learners. Imagine you're a tailor. You have one design, but different sizes. That's what differentiation looks like. The same goal, different routes to get there. It's not about lowering expectations or creating 30 versions of every worksheet. It's about building flexibility into your teaching without losing focus on your learning outcomes. There are 4 ways you can differentiate: content, what they learn; process, how they learn it; product, how they show their learning; and environment, the space and conditions for learning. You don't have to do all 4. Start with one. So how does this work in a real classroom? Let's say you're teaching persuasive writing. Some students might watch a video breakdown. Others might analyse a model text. Some work in pairs. Others work solo. One student presents their argument as a speech. Another designs a poster. Same learning objective. Different ways to get there. That's differentiation. It's intentional, inclusive, and smart. Differentiation isn't extra. It's what great teaching already does, making space for every learner to access the learning, engage in it, and succeed. So next time you plan a lesson, ask, where can I build in a little choice, a little flexibility, or a little support? If you do that, you're already differentiating and making a big difference. Let's talk about differentiating content. That's the what of learning. In any classroom, not all learners start in the same place. Some read quickly, some take time, some need structure, others thrive on open-ended tasks. So, why give them all identical inputs? Differentiating content means adjusting how learners access the material, while keeping the learning goal exactly the same. That might look like offering texts at different reading levels, using a mix of videos, articles, podcasts, or infographics, creating tiered versions of a task with varying levels of support. The learning stays the same. What changes is how students access and explore it, using the tools or formats that help them best. For example, in a history lesson on the civil rights movement, one group might read an article, another watches a short documentary, a third uses a timeline graphic. They all tackle the same key question: what were the turning points of the civil rights movement? Same goal, same curriculum, different ways of getting into it. Or in a Year 8 English class on persuasive writing, one group gets a model paragraph to analyse, another starts with a checklist, a third is ready to draft from scratch. They're all aiming for the same writing standard, just using different supports to reach it. And you don't need endless resources. 2 or 3 well-designed options are often enough. Differentiating content helps all learners engage, not by simplifying the learning, but by making it accessible. It's not extra work. It's effective teaching. Now, let's break down what it means to differentiate process. Or, in simple terms, how students learn something in your classroom. It's important to know you're not changing what they're learning. You're not changing why they're learning it. You're just changing how they get there. Think of it like this. Same content means everyone's learning the same topic. Same objective means everyone's aiming for the same outcome. Different process means that the way they get there depends on what helps them most. Let's bring that to life with an example. Take the topic forces in studies in science. The objective is to describe how friction, gravity, and air resistance affect movement. Here's how it might look in action. One group works in pairs, using toy cars and ramps. They test together how friction changes on carpet, wood, and plastic. Another group watches a teacher-led demo, then uses a visual organizer to sort examples of each force. A third group works independently through a step-by-step worksheet, with clear diagrams and sentence starters to guide them. They're all learning about forces. They're all aiming for the same understanding, but they're learning in the way that works best for them. That's process differentiation. It doesn't mean planning 100 different lessons. It means offering a few flexible ways to explore the same idea, so more students can succeed. Because when students can engage with the learning in a way that fits their needs, they're far more likely to get it and keep going. Now, let's talk about differentiating product, which simply means how students show what they've learned. In many classrooms, we ask all students to produce the same thing: an essay, a test, or a worksheet. But not every learner communicates best that way. Product differentiation gives students different ways to demonstrate their understanding, while still working towards the same learning goal. Here's the golden rule. Same objective. Everyone is aiming to show they've learned the same thing. Different product. Students have a choice in how they show it. Let's take an example. Let's look at the topic volcanoes and the objective. Explain how volcanoes form and erupt. Instead of asking every student to write a report, you offer a few options. One student writes a short explanation, using key vocabulary. Another creates a labelled diagram with definitions. A third records a short video or voice note walking through the stages. A fourth builds a model and talks it through. Each student is showing their understanding of the same concept in a way that plays to their strengths, supports their needs, or builds their confidence. This isn't about lowering expectations. It's about making assessment more inclusive and more accurate, because when students can show what they know in a way that works for them, you often see more of what they're capable of. That's product differentiation, and it works. Now, let's talk about differentiating the learning environment. In other words, where and how students learn best. We often focus on lesson content, but the classroom environment plays a huge role in how well students can focus, participate, and succeed. Differentiating environment means making small adjustments to the physical or emotional space to help more students access the learning. That could include seating arrangements, like offering quiet corners or group tables. Tools, like headphones, coloured overlays, or wobble cushions. Movement, allowing some students to stand or take brain breaks. Visuals and routines, like task lists, timers, or calm colours. You're not redesigning the whole classroom. You're creating options, so students can choose what helps them stay focused, comfortable, and ready to learn. Let's take a simple example. You're teaching a writing lesson. One student chooses to sit in a quieter spot near the window. Another uses a single desk and a visual checklist to stay on track. A third prefers to wear headphones to block background noise. The task is the same. The environment just flexes to support focus and confidence. Emotional environment matters too. Clear instructions, predictable routines, a safe space to ask for help. These things reduce stress and build trust, especially for students who find school overwhelming. Differentiating environment isn't about giving special treatment. It's about removing barriers so everyone has a fair chance to learn. Because when the space works for them, learning flows.